It started like most quiet nights in America do. TV low, lights dim, and the whole neighborhood asleep. The kind of midnight where the air feels heavier and every sound seems louder than it should. Detective Aaron Cole didn't expect anything unusual that night, but when his phone rang at exactly 12:17 a.m., he felt something shift. The caller ID showed unknown. He almost ignored it. Then the voicemail notification popped up immediately before he even declined. That's what made his stomach tighten. One missed call, one voicemail, as if the caller already knew he wouldn't answer. Aaron played the voicemail. A calm male voice spoke like it was reading from a script. Detective Cole, you're going to find her in less than 1 hour. The voice didn't sound angry. It sounded confident, almost bored. Bring backup if you want. It won't matter. The message ended with a soft breath, like a smile. Aaron didn't know why that location felt familiar, but it did. Not from work, something older, something he didn't like remembering. He replayed the voicemail twice, and each time it felt like the voice knew more than it should. Within 15 minutes, Aaron was in his unmarked car, driving through empty streets under orange streetlights. He called dispatch, but he didn't share everything, just said he received a credible tip. The dispatcher asked who called. Aaron paused. Unknown. Backup units were sent, but they were 20 minutes out. Pine Ridge was a quiet suburban edge, lots of trees, new homes, and one forgotten piece of older infrastructure, the drainage system built decades ago. The voice had said, access. That meant someone had been there before, someone who knew the city's hidden spots. As Aaron turned onto Pine Ridge Road, his headlights caught a sign half covered by vines. It felt like driving into a secret. The drainage access sat behind a line of trees, fenced off with a rusted gate that looked abandoned. Aaron stepped out, flashlight in hand, gun holstered but ready. The air smelled like wet dirt and cold metal. He walked closer and noticed something chilling. Fresh footprints in the mud. Not his, not old, recent. He followed them toward the gate, where the chain was cut clean as if done professionally. Aaron radioed quietly, I'm on scene, gate compromised. Then he heard it, a faint sound, barely noticeable. Not a scream, not a voice, more like someone trying not to breathe loudly. Aaron aimed his flashlight into the darkness and said, Police, show yourself.
The beam caught movement. A hand, shaky and pale, reaching from behind a concrete wall. Aaron rushed forward. A woman was there, sitting half-slumped, trembling like her body had been running on pure fear. She looked bruised, disoriented, but alive. Aaron crouched beside her. Ma'am, you're safe. What's your name? She struggled to speak. Lila. Lila Hart. Aaron recognized that name instantly. Lila Hart had been reported missing less than 12 hours earlier, yet the caller said she'd be found in an hour, meaning the caller knew exactly where she was and when the police would arrive. Aaron's throat tightened. This wasn't luck. This was control.
When backup arrived, paramedics wrapped Leela in a thermal blanket and rushed her into the ambulance. Aaron stood nearby, watching the drainage access like it might blink. One officer asked him, How did you know to come here? Aaron hesitated. Anonymous tip. He didn't mention the voicemail. Not yet. Something about that voice felt personal, like it didn't just want the police to solve the case, it wanted Aaron specifically. As the ambulance doors shut, Aaron looked around again, and then he noticed it. scratched into the concrete wall near where Leela had been sitting. 3 words, carved deep. "You owe me." Aaron stared until his eyes burned.
Back at the station, Aaron listened to the voicemail again in his office, keeping the door locked. He zoomed in on the audio file, trying to catch any background noise. A faint hum, like an appliance, maybe a fridge, maybe a cheap fan. The voice was carefully controlled, digitally clean, but not robotic. Whoever it was knew how to hide their identity without overdoing it. Aaron printed the phone log and handed it quietly to Tech. Trace everything, even if it looks impossible. The tech guy raised an eyebrow. "You think it's someone with skills?" Aaron nodded. "Or someone with access." He didn't like saying that word. Access could mean government, police, or something worse, someone inside.
Lila's first statement was short and shaky. She said she'd been taken after leaving her evening shift at a small diner. She never saw the kidnapper's face, only a smell, chemical, like cleaning fluid, and a voice. "He spoke softly," she whispered, "like he was trying not to wake someone up." Aaron's spine stiffened. That line matched the voicemail tone too perfectly. A suspect profile began forming in his head. Calm, organized, confident. Not a random predator, a planner. Lila tried to remember details, but kept fading. Before she drifted into sleep, she grabbed Aaron's wrist and said, "He kept saying your name, like a warning." Aaron froze. "My name?" She nodded weakly. "Cole."
That detail made the case change shape. This wasn't just a kidnapping. This was a message. Aaron walked out of the hospital and sat in his car for a long time, gripping the steering wheel like it might keep him grounded. He thought about old cases, old enemies, anyone who could want revenge. But the words on the wall, "You owe me," felt older than any case he'd worked as a detective. It felt like something from before his badge, before his career, before his life became stable. When he got home, he didn't turn on the lights. He just stood in the hallway, listening to silence. Then his phone vibrated again. Unknown caller. 12:17 a.m. Exactly the same time as before. This time, Aaron answered. "Who is this?" The voice didn't rush. "Good, you're learning." Aaron's jaw tightened. "You abducted her." The voice gave a soft laugh. "No, I returned her." Aaron stepped into his kitchen, keeping his voice low. "Why are you doing this?" The caller paused like he was enjoying the question. "Because you don't remember, and I can't allow that." Aaron felt cold all over. "Remember what?" The voice lowered, gentle but sharp. "What you did in 2009, the night you swore you'd never speak about again." Aaron's breath stopped. That year wasn't just a memory. It was a locked door in his mind, and someone was holding the key.
Aaron tried to keep his tone steady. "You've got the wrong person." The caller sighed. "No, detective, I have the right person. I always have." Aaron recorded the call on his second phone. "Tell me who you are." The caller's voice turned almost friendly. "You can call me Midnight." Aaron felt his stomach twist. "Midnight isn't a name." "It is if you only exist after dark," the voice replied. Aaron's hand trembled slightly. "What do you want?" The caller spoke slowly, every word deliberate. "I want you to follow instructions. If you don't, someone else disappears, someone you'll care about." Aaron's heart pounded. Who? But the line went dead. For the first time in years, Aaron felt truly powerless. He stared at his phone like it was a live grenade. He couldn't report this cleanly, not without explaining 2009. And he couldn't pretend it was nothing, because the caller had already proven he could touch reality. He could move people like chess pieces. Aaron opened a locked drawer and pulled out an old envelope, yellowed at the edges. Inside were photos, a faded report, and one police document marked sealed. The date at the top read October 2009. Aaron swallowed hard. That case had never officially existed. It was buried, hidden, erased. Yet Midnight remembered it clearly, and now he was bringing it back to life, minute by minute, midnight by midnight. The sealed case involved a missing teen named Brandon Pierce. He vanished after a high school football game. The town searched for weeks. Then his body was found near an abandoned construction site. No witnesses, no clear suspect. Back then, Aaron wasn't a detective. He was a patrol officer, young, ambitious, and desperate to prove himself. A superior told him to handle it quietly. Aaron had followed orders, too blindly. The report claimed the case was solved, but Aaron remembered the truth. It wasn't solved. Someone important had been protected. Evidence had been redirected, and Aaron had been told to forget. He thought he had, but Midnight was forcing those memories into the open. And now, the price of silence was coming due. At the station the next morning, Aaron acted normal. Coffee, briefings, paperwork. But his eyes kept scanning faces, searching for anything familiar. Midnight could be anyone, an ex-cop, a dispatcher, a forensic tech, even someone he trusted. Aaron went to the surveillance room and requested footage near Pine Ridge. The operator shrugged. "Cameras went down last night. Maintenance says it was a power issue." Aaron stared, speechless. Too convenient. He walked out and checked his email. A new message appeared. No subject line. It contained only a photo attachment. Aaron opened it and felt his chest tighten. The image showed Leela inside the drainage area, alive, hours before Aaron found her. In the corner of the photo was a timestamp, 12:02 a.m. Midnight had taken the picture. Midnight had watched Aaron arrive.
At the bottom of the email, a single sentence appeared. "You're early. That's progress." Aaron slammed his office door and sat down hard. This wasn't just stalking, this was choreography. Midnight was running the tempo of the case like a conductor. Aaron copied the email to a secure drive and sent it to a trusted FBI contact under a vague pretense. He didn't explain the whole story, just enough to trigger interest. Then he leaned back, exhausted. He hadn't slept, and his mind was stuck between fear and anger. He whispered, "What do you want from me?" as if the air might answer. And then his phone buzzed with a new text message from an unknown number. "Tonight, 12:17 a.m. Don't be late."
Aaron spent the day preparing like he was about to walk into a storm. He checked his weapon, charged a backup battery, and placed a small recorder in his jacket pocket. But the most important thing he did was call his younger sister, Emma. She lived across town, quiet life, normal job, the kind of person Aaron tried to protect by keeping his work separate. "Just checking in," he said casually. Emma laughed. You never just check in. What's going on? Aaron forced a smile into his voice. Nothing. I just wanted to hear you. Emma paused. Are you okay? Aaron swallowed. Yeah, just tired. He didn't warn her, not directly. But after he hung up, he stared at her name in his phone contacts and whispered, "Please stay safe tonight."
At 12:16 a.m., Aaron sat in his car in a quiet parking lot near the station. The world looked frozen, streetlights glowing, no traffic, no movement. Then, at exactly 12:17, the phone rang. Unknown. Aaron answered instantly. Talk. Midnight spoke softly. Good, you kept your promise. Aaron clenched his jaw. What's next? Midnight didn't answer right away. Instead, he said something chilling. You remember Brandon Pierce now, don't you? Aaron's heart dropped. Midnight continued, calm and almost kind. Tonight, we fix what you helped break. Aaron whispered, Where? Midnight replied, Old Eastbridge, the same bridge your department stopped searching under. Aaron felt sick. Eastbridge was where Brandon's final evidence trail went cold. Midnight wasn't guessing. He was reopening the exact wound Aaron had tried to bury.
Aaron drove to Eastbridge alone at first, then slowed down and called for backup under a routine pretext. He didn't want the department hearing Midnight's name over radio chatter. Eastbridge was older than the rest of the city, built decades ago, with dark water below and rusted beams above. Aaron parked near the pedestrian walkway and stepped out. The air was cold and smelled like river mud. His flashlight swept across the ground, and he saw something placed deliberately in the center of the path. A small, sealed envelope. Aaron's throat tightened. He approached slowly, gun drawn but pointed down. The envelope had his name typed neatly. Detective Aaron Cole. No return address, no fingerprints visible, just paper and intention. He picked it up carefully and felt the weight. Something was inside, thin, solid, and dangerous.
Aaron opened the envelope using gloves. Inside was a flash drive and a folded note. The note read, Play it in your office alone. Aaron looked around. No footsteps, no cars, no shadows he could confirm. Yet he knew Midnight was nearby, watching from somewhere dark, patient as a spider. Aaron pocketed the flash drive and returned to his car, adrenaline burning through him. At the station, he waited until most officers were busy, then locked his office door. He inserted the flash drive into his computer. A single video file appeared, no title. Aaron clicked play. The screen showed grainy footage, night vision green. A teenage boy, Brandon Pierce, hands tied, eyes terrified. Aaron's blood ran cold. Brandon looked into the camera and whispered, Please tell my mom I didn't run away. Then a voice off-screen spoke softly. Detective Cole remembers now. Aaron felt like he couldn't breathe. The video ended suddenly. Aaron stared at the black screen, frozen. That footage should not exist. Brandon's death had been written off with half-truths and sealed paperwork. But Midnight had proof, real proof, and it was aimed directly at Aaron's guilt. Then Aaron noticed something else. In the corner of the footage, barely visible, was a symbol painted on a concrete wall. a small white triangle with a line through it. Aaron had seen that symbol before, on an old evidence box in 2009, one that mysteriously disappeared before trial. Midnight wasn't just one person. This felt organized, like a network, like a group that had been operating quietly for years, cleaning up problems, erasing trails, and protecting their own. Aaron leaned forward and whispered, "What are you?" His computer chimed. A new email arrived. "Now you're ready for the next disappearance."
Aaron's hands tightened into fists. He opened the email. It was another photo, this time a close-up of a woman's wrist bound with duct tape. Underneath was a small handwritten sign, 1217, written in thick marker. The email contained one line of text. "This one is your fault, too." Aaron felt anger rise, sharp and uncontrollable. He called Midnight's number back, but it didn't connect. It never would. Midnight only called when he wanted to. Aaron left his office and headed straight to the evidence room. He requested access to sealed files from 2009, anything linked to Brandon Pierce, anything with missing items. The clerk looked confused. "That case isn't in the system." Aaron forced a calm tone. "Then it was removed, which means someone removed it." The clerk's face went pale. "Detective, you're asking dangerous questions." Aaron replied quietly, "I think that's the point." That night, Aaron didn't go home. He stayed in the station, watching the clock like it was a predator. 12:10, 12:14, 12:16, then 12:17. The phone rang. Unknown. Aaron answered instantly. "Who is she?" Midnight's voice sounded pleased. "You're not denying anymore." Aaron growled, "Stop playing games." Midnight spoke gently, almost like a teacher. "Her name is Mallory Grant, social worker. She asked the wrong questions about a boy who never made it home in 2009. Aaron's eyes widened. "Brandon's case connected to her?" Midnight replied, "Everything connects if you know where to look." Aaron said, "Where is she?" Midnight paused. "You will find her if you go alone." Aaron slammed his hand on the desk. "No, tell me where." Midnight whispered, "The abandoned church on Route 6. 15 minutes, clock's ticking." Then he ended the call. Aaron broke protocol and went anyway. He didn't bring marked units. He didn't want Midnight spooked. Route 6 cut through a quiet stretch of town. Old businesses, dark tree lines, and forgotten buildings. The abandoned church sat back from the road, its white paint peeling, windows boarded. It looked like a place even God had left behind. Aaron parked and stepped out, flashlight sweeping the empty lot. The wind made the boards creak like slow breathing. He pushed the side door open. Inside, dust floated through the beam like tiny ghosts. Aaron moved carefully, listening. Then he heard it, a muffled sound from deeper inside, a weak sob. He followed it to the basement door, which was slightly open, and just as he reached for it, his phone buzzed with a text. "If you open it, you'll regret what you see." Aaron froze. Every instinct screamed to open the door, but the message felt like a trap. He stepped back, heart pounding, and scanned the room. That's when he noticed a camera. A small lens mounted high on the corner beam, pointed directly at him. Midnight was watching live. Aaron raised his flashlight toward it and spoke into the empty air. "You want me here? Fine, but I'm not alone." He reached his radio and called in backup using a coded message. He then kicked the basement door open and rushed down. The smell hit first: bleach, sweat, and damp concrete. In the corner, Mallory Grant lay bound, eyes wide with terror. Alive. Aaron cut the tape quickly. She whispered, "He said you'd come." Aaron replied, "You're safe now." But Mallory shook her head. "No, he's still here." Then the lights went out completely.
Darkness swallowed the basement like a closing mouth. Aaron's flashlight flickered once, then died. Someone had killed the power and likely jammed the signal too. Mallory's breathing turned frantic. Aaron drew his gun and positioned himself between her and the stairs. "Stay behind me," he whispered. Somewhere in the dark, a soft, slow clap echoed. One clap, then another. The sound was calm, mocking. Midnight's voice drifted through the black like smoke. "You broke the rules, detective. You called backup." Aaron shouted, "Let her go." Midnight replied softly, "I did. She's still breathing, isn't she?" Aaron aimed toward the voice but couldn't see a thing. Mallory whispered urgently, "He's not alone." Aaron's skin prickled. Multiple footsteps shifted around them, quiet and controlled. Midnight wasn't one man, he was a system, and Aaron had walked into the center of it.
Backup arrived outside, flashing lights cutting through the church windows like restless lightning. The footsteps in the basement paused. Midnight's voice spoke again, closer now. Time to choose. Aaron yelled, "I'm not playing your game." Midnight whispered, "You already did in 2009. Suddenly, a door slammed somewhere above, heavy, loud, final. Mallory grabbed Aaron's sleeve. "He said if you came, they'd blame you." Aaron's mind raced. If Midnight escaped now, he'd vanish again. But if Aaron chased, Mallory could die. Aaron forced himself to focus. He guided Mallory toward the stairs, carefully, moving inch by inch. The moment they reached the top, officers rushed in. "Detective," Aaron shouted, "get her out, now!" He turned back toward the darkness, but Midnight was gone. Only one thing remained on the wall behind them, written in white paint. One more debt.
Mallory survived, but her statement was unsettling. She said she'd been taken from her office parking lot. The kidnapper wore gloves, spoke softly, and smelled like disinfectant, just like Leela described. But Mallory added something new. "He didn't threaten me like a criminal," she said. "He spoke like a judge." Aaron listened carefully. She continued, "He kept saying, 'The truth always comes back at midnight.'" That phrase hit Aaron hard. It sounded like a motto, not a taunt. Meanwhile, Internal Affairs began sniffing around. A detective going alone to an abandoned church at midnight? That raised red flags. Aaron's captain warned him, "Cole, you're stepping into something you can't control." Aaron wanted to say, "It already controls me," but he stayed silent, because the worst part wasn't the investigations. The worst part was knowing Midnight still had one final move.
At home the next morning, Aaron found his front door slightly open. His stomach dropped. He entered slowly, gun in hand. The house looked untouched. No mess, no forced entry. Just that faint smell again. Cleaning chemicals. In the living room, a small object sat on the table. His sister Emma's old childhood bracelet. Aaron's chest tightened so hard it hurt. He grabbed it with shaking fingers. Beneath it was a note, typed neatly. "She's safe, for now." Aaron whispered, "No, no, no." He called Emma immediately. No answer. He called again. Voicemail. Panic surged. Aaron ran to his car and sped across town, driving like every second mattered, because it did. Midnight had crossed the line from messages to family. Aaron realized something terrifying. Midnight didn't just know about 2009. He knew Aaron's entire life, and he was rewriting it with midnight calls like chapters in a nightmare.
Aaron reached Emma's apartment and pounded the door. No answer. He tried the knob. Unlocked. His pulse roared in his ears. "Emma!" he shouted, rushing inside. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Her phone sat on the kitchen counter. Her keys were there, but she was gone. On the wall near the hallway mirror, someone had taped a small paper triangle with a line through it, the same symbol from the old video. Aaron ripped it down, hands trembling. Under the symbol was another message, handwritten this time. "If you want her back, tell the truth." Aaron stumbled back like he'd been punched. Tell the truth? To whom? The department? The public? Brandon's family? The truth that could destroy careers? Aaron realized Midnight's plan wasn't just revenge, it was exposure, and Emma was now the leverage. At the station, Aaron demanded access to the archived files again. He confronted an older supervisor who had been there in 2009. "Where's the Brandon Pierce evidence?" Aaron asked. The man's expression hardened. "Drop it." Aaron slammed the table. "My sister is missing." Silence filled the room. The supervisor's eyes flicked away. "Who did this?" Aaron leaned in. "You know." The supervisor exhaled slowly. "There are people you don't understand, Cole. People who clean up problems before they become headlines." Aaron's voice shook with rage. "You mean you buried a kid's death like it was paperwork?" The man whispered, "I didn't bury it. I survived it." Aaron stood frozen. "So Midnight is real." The supervisor didn't answer directly. He just said, "If you push, you'll lose her." Aaron replied, deadly calm, "If I don't push, I'll lose her anyway."
That night, Aaron made a decision. He would tell the truth, his truth, before Midnight could twist it. He drove to Brandon Pierce's mother's house, a small place with faded porch lights and a tired silence. She opened the door slowly, older now, eyes worn down by years without closure. "Detective?" she said cautiously. Aaron swallowed hard. "Mrs. Pierce, my name is Aaron Cole. I was involved in your son's case in 2009. Her face tightened. "They told me it was solved." Aaron shook his head. "It wasn't." The words felt like broken glass in his throat. He stepped inside, hands shaking, and told her everything he remembered. The missing evidence, the pressure, the sealed report. Mrs. Pierce sat down slowly, like her body couldn't hold her anymore. Tears fell, silent and steady. She whispered, "So they lied to me." Aaron nodded. "Yes." Her voice broke. "And now you want forgiveness?" Aaron answered honestly, "No, I want the truth to stop hurting people." Outside, Far down the street, a car's headlights blinked twice, like a signal. On the drive back, Aaron received a call at 12:17 a.m., midnight. Aaron answered without hesitation. I told her. Midnight's voice sounded pleased. Good. Truth looks better on you than silence. Aaron gritted his teeth. Where's Emma? Midnight paused. You're close. Aaron shouted. Close to what? Midnight replied calmly. Close to remembering the part you pretend didn't happen. Aaron's hands tightened around the wheel. I remember enough. Midnight whispered. No, you remember what helps you sleep. Aaron felt rage burn. Then tell me. Midnight's voice lowered. Go to the old precinct building, basement level. Bring no one. 12:40. Aaron's heart thudded. That building had been closed for years. Why there? Midnight replied softly. Because that's where you became one of us. The line cut. Aaron's hands went cold. One of us? That phrase stuck like a blade. The old precinct building stood like a dead monument. Dark windows, cracked pavement, history sealed behind locked doors. Aaron pried open a side entrance and moved inside with a flashlight and a recorder. The hallway smelled like dust and old paperwork. He walked past empty desks and peeling bulletin boards. Every step echoed too loud. He found a stairwell leading down to the basement. The air grew colder with each stair. At the bottom, a metal door waited, slightly open, as if expecting him. Aaron pushed it slowly. Inside was a small room with one chair and a table. On the table sat a tape recorder, old-fashioned, with a single cassette inserted. Next to it was a file folder labeled Cole Initiation. Aaron's stomach dropped. He whispered, "What is this?" And then the tape recorder clicked on by itself. A voice began speaking, younger than Midnight's, but familiar. It was Aaron's own voice from 2009. The cassette played a confession Aaron didn't remember making. His own voice said, "I understand the rules. I understand what happens if I talk." Aaron stumbled back, horrified. The recording continued, "I won't report what I saw. I won't say their names. I'll do what's required." Aaron's hands shook violently. He had been recorded pledging silence, like a contract. The file folder contained photos, Brandon Pierce, evidence bags, and names blacked out with thick marker. But one thing wasn't blacked out. A symbol in the corner. The triangle with the line through it. Aaron felt dizzy. He hadn't just been pressured in 2009. He had been recruited or trapped into an invisible system. Midnight's voice suddenly spoke from the darkness behind him. "Now you remember." Aaron spun around, gun raised, but there was no one there. Only a speaker, hidden in the ceiling, playing Midnight's calm breathing like he was standing inches away.
Midnight's voice filled the basement room, smooth and unhurried. You didn't just follow orders, detective. You signed your name in blood, figuratively. Aaron shouted, "I was a kid! I didn't know what I was doing!" Midnight replied softly, "That's the excuse everyone uses." Aaron's eyes burned. "Where is my sister?" Midnight's voice sharpened slightly. "She's safe, but safety is temporary. Truth is permanent." Aaron slammed the file folder down. "You want me to expose them?" Midnight said, "I want you to expose yourself." Aaron froze. "Me?" Midnight continued, You benefited from silence, promotions, praise, a clean career, and Brandon's mother got a funeral with lies. Aaron's hands trembled. I didn't kill Brandon, Midnight replied calmly. No, you just made sure his killer slept well. Aaron felt sick. Tell me what to do. Midnight whispered, go live, tell the world what happened, and at 12:17 you'll get Emma back. Then the speaker went silent.
Aaron's next move was unthinkable. He scheduled a press conference with the department using official channels, forcing the system to watch itself crack. His captain tried to stop him. Cole, you're spiraling, he warned. Aaron looked him dead in the eye. If you know anything about 2009, you're spiraling too. The room went tense. Aaron stepped to the podium an hour later, cameras rolling, reporters leaning forward. He spoke clearly, voice heavy but controlled. He admitted there was an unsolved case buried in 2009. He admitted evidence mishandling. He admitted pressure from inside the department. The room exploded with questions. But Aaron didn't stop. He named the victim, Brandon Pierce. He said the case needed reopening, publicly, transparently. His captain's face went pale. Aaron finished with one line. If justice is real, it can survive daylight. As he stepped away, his phone vibrated silently. A text from unknown. Good. Now come to the river.
Aaron drove to the river under heavy rain clouds. It was almost poetic, like the city itself was holding its breath. He arrived at an empty dock where old wooden boards creaked over dark water. The time on his dashboard read 12:15 a.m. 2 minutes left. Aaron stepped out, scanning the darkness. Wind moved the water in slow ripples. Then 12:17 hit. His phone rang. He answered immediately. Where is she? Midnight's voice sounded distant now. Right where you left the truth, detective. Aaron's jaw clenched. Stop talking in riddles. Midnight replied, Look under the dock. Aaron lowered his flashlight and saw something tied to the support beams, a small waterproof bag. He waded down carefully, heart pounding, and pulled it free. Inside was Emma's phone and a note. She's alive. Follow the sound. Suddenly, Aaron heard it, faint ringing from somewhere nearby, a phone ringing in the distance.
Aaron ran along the dock toward the sound, slipping on wet boards. The ringing grew louder, echoing off water and wood. He found an old storage shed near the shoreline, door half open. The ringing came from inside. Aaron pushed in fast, flashlight sweeping. The shed smelled like rust and damp rope. In the corner, Emma sat tied to a chair, mouth taped, eyes wide and terrified, but alive. Aaron rushed to her, cutting the restraints with shaking hands. Emma sobbed as soon as she could breathe. Aaron, I thought I was going to die. Aaron held her tight. You're okay, you're okay. Then Emma whispered something that made his blood freeze. He didn't touch me, he just talked. He kept saying you were supposed to remember. He said you were one of them. Aaron pulled back, staring at her. Did you see him? Emma nodded slowly. No, but I heard more than one voice. Aaron's throat tightened. Midnight wasn't alone. He never was.
Police units arrived, but the shed held no suspect, no fingerprints, no cameras, nothing. Emma was taken to safety, but Aaron knew the game wasn't finished. Midnight had forced the truth into daylight, but it wasn't justice yet. It was only exposure. Days later, investigators reopened Brandon Pierce's case officially. Evidence that was once missing suddenly appeared in anonymous packages. Photos, tapes, old records, names partially erased. It was like someone inside the system had decided the timing was right. Aaron watched the news coverage, hearing reporters say words like corruption, cover-up, and conspiracy. His department turned on him quietly, treating him like a threat, not a whistleblower. Aaron didn't care. He only cared about one thing now: finding Midnight. But Midnight never called again. Not at first, until 1 week later, at 12:17 a.m., Aaron's phone rang one last time.
Aaron answered with a steady voice. Midnight. The caller didn't speak immediately, only breathing, slow, controlled. Then Midnight said, "You did well." Aaron's eyes narrowed. "Is that it? You disappear now?" Midnight gave a soft laugh. "Disappear, detective. I've been here longer than you." Aaron asked, "What do you want?" Midnight replied, "Balance." Aaron's fists clenched. "You kidnapped innocent people." Midnight's tone didn't change. "And you buried an innocent boy." Aaron swallowed hard. "I'm trying to fix it." Midnight whispered, "Fixing it doesn't erase it." Aaron's voice dropped. "Who are you?" Midnight paused, almost thoughtfully. "Someone who learned the truth the hard way." Aaron pressed, "Are you Brandon's family?" Midnight said softly, "No." Then he added something far worse. "I'm what your department created when it decided truth was optional." Aaron felt ice crawl up his spine. Midnight wasn't a man. Midnight was revenge wearing a voice. And then the line went dead forever.
Weeks passed. No calls. No disappearances. But Aaron couldn't sleep. Every night he stared at the clock, waiting for 12:17 like it was a ritual. Emma moved in with a friend. She said she felt watched. Aaron felt it too. Brandon Pierce's case progressed quickly. New suspects, new testimony, reopened evidence chains. A former supervisor resigned suddenly. Another officer retired overnight. The system was shaking itself clean, but not willingly. Aaron became a media figure. Some called him a hero. Others called him unstable. He didn't feel like either. He felt like a man who had survived something invisible. Then, one morning, Aaron received a plain envelope in the mail. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a small paper triangle symbol and a printed sentence. The caller was never the master, only the messenger. Aaron stared at it, realizing the truth. Midnight was a key, not the lock. Aaron went to the FBI contact he'd emailed earlier. This time, he brought everything: the voicemail recordings, the flash drive footage, the symbol, and his own sealed file. The agent listened in silence, then leaned back and said quietly, "This isn't just local corruption." Aaron asked, "What do you think it is?" The agent hesitated. "A private network, an internal cleanup structure, maybe ex-law enforcement, maybe contractors, maybe something that started small and spread." Aaron's stomach turned. So Midnight was a member? The agent nodded slowly. Or someone who survived them. Either way, they're organized. Aaron remembered the basement footsteps, the multiple voices Emma heard, the camera in the church. It all fit. Midnight wasn't acting alone. He was either protected or hunted. And Aaron suddenly understood why Midnight never revealed his face. Midnight didn't want to be caught. Midnight wanted the system burned while he stayed in the shadows. That meant the real enemy still existed, quiet, powerful, and watching. Aaron returned home that night and sat at his kitchen table, staring at the triangle symbol. He wrote down every name from 2009, every person who touched the Brandon Pierce file. He made connections on paper like a detective in a movie, but this time it was his real life. The names formed a web, and the web extended further than his city. Some names had moved to other departments. Some had private security jobs now. Some had political ties. Aaron's hands tightened around his pen. He realized Midnight didn't just want him to confess. Midnight wanted Aaron to become dangerous, someone willing to pull the whole structure into the light. Around 12:10 a.m., Aaron's phone buzzed with an unknown text. Not a call, a message. You're not finished, but you're awake now. Aaron stared at it and whispered, "So are you." The clock hit 12:17. Silence. No ring. That was worse than a call.
Months later, Brandon Pierce's case was officially reopened as a homicide investigation with federal oversight. Aaron resigned from the department, not because he lost, but because he couldn't stay inside a system that had lied for so long. He began working privately, quietly helping expose buried cases, guiding victims' families through the truth. People started sending him letters, tips, old photos, names they were afraid to speak aloud. Aaron became something different, a man who listened when others stayed silent. Yet late at night, he still remembered the voicemail's calm tone, the way Midnight spoke like time belonged to him. Aaron often wondered who Midnight really was. A victim? A whistleblower? A monster shaped by monsters? One thing Aaron knew for sure: Midnight didn't rescue Lila and Mallory because he cared about them. He did it because he needed Aaron to react, to move, to confess. Midnight's greatest weapon wasn't violence, it was memory.
The last time Aaron heard anything about Midnight was a single news report from another state. A missing woman found alive near a drainage access. No suspect, no explanation, just a note scratched into the concrete. You owe me. Aaron stared at the screen, feeling the same cold tightness in his chest. Midnight had moved on. Or maybe Midnight was never a single person at all. Maybe it was a role passed from one shadow to another. Aaron stepped outside his apartment that night and looked up at the dark sky. The city lights glowed below, peaceful, unaware. Somewhere out there, someone was listening to police radios, watching case files, and deciding who deserved truth and who deserved fear. Aaron checked his phone. The time was 12:16. He held his breath. 12:17 arrived. No call. But Aaron didn't feel relieved, because now he understood the real nightmare. Midnight didn't need to call anymore. Midnight had already awakened the truth, and once the truth wakes up, it never goes back to sleep.